I'm Bella, the Maker Mama boss lady behind Bella's Custom Crochets, and this is episode 27 of my podcast. I'm a crochet designer, I do a little bit of knitting, and I talk about all the yarny things. If you are just joining me for the first time, thank you for checking out my channel, and if you are coming back, you are always very welcome here. You can find everything that you need to know about me down below. I link over to a blog post with show notes for everything I'm going to talk about. And if you want to be in the know about everything going on here, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you'll know every time I upload a video. That was a good intro. You guys know I struggle with the intro part. But yeah, it is February 2021 and I am here to talk yarny things with you. So let us get started. I don't think I have a lick of admin today other than to say I am wearing my Pouf sweater. The last couple of episodes I've been talking about the whole yarn chicken conundrum and then the conundrum of whether or not I liked the fit. And you guys had some good ideas last time. I'm still on the fence. I'm wearing it at this moment, so it does fit and I do like it. I think it is a little too boxy, but I don't think it bothers me enough to rip it back and fix it, honestly. I was in between on like waist shaping or at least cutting out one of the striping sections. And I'm kind of just like, but do I want to do that? I don't think I do. I did, last time I forgot to grab the little bits of yarn that were left over. So I wanted to show you, this is literally how much yarn I had left. I should have weighed what the total was here, but it was some intense yarn chicken. I do have a big amount left actually of this cream color. I think it was like 55 grams or something of that. So I don't know why I have a tiny scrap in there. But yeah, all those other colors besides the cream on the top. It was down to the wire. But I am very happy I wore this all day today and I do feel fabulous in it. Maybe a little oversized and boxy, but fabulous. Also, I blocked out the sleeves and they were plenty long and then they were in my warm house and kind of decided they wanted to be bracelet length Pouf sleeves. So I don't have enough yarn, obviously, to go back and make the sleeves longer. And it was super wash, and when I blocked it, they were plenty long, but I think something about, like, the Pouf, I should probably put down the T, but I'm going to keep holding it. Yeah, they're kind of like, I can't really show you what my arm down looks like. They're like that now, which is fine, because I tend to push up my sleeves anyway, but I'm not sure if that's an acceptable length for a balloon sleeve. I keep calling it a puff sleeve. It's a balloon sleeve. But yeah. That is my Pouf update. I think we'll stop talking about it now, unless you guys want to talk about it some more. Okay, I've set down the tea, and now we can do the design section. Design-wise, I don't have too many things to show you, but I do have the Hope and a Future wrap is going to be coming out probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. It is finishing up testing tomorrow, so I'm going to get it off to my tech editor and then all prettied up for release. And that's the one with Megs & Co yarn, and she's going to have kits as well. If you want to learn more about that, jump back a couple episodes, been talking about that for a bit. And then also there will be a pattern drop video. Anytime a new pattern goes live, I do like a little summary of the pattern and the yarns and the techniques and all of that. So you can always check out my pattern drop playlist for when patterns are live, and if you want to know when patterns are coming, you should pop down below and make sure you're following me on Instagram, where I do all my tester calls and pattern updates, and I share photos of both myself and testers. And also my newsletter, my mailing list, is where I keep you updated about pattern releases and sales and all of that sort of things. Hopefully that was a good sentence. I just love the way this sweater looks, guys. I really do. I'm so happy with these colors. I made this. I love it. But yeah, Hope and Future wrap is coming very, very soon. And then also the Dandelion drops. I don't know if you can see back here. I made a mini version just to try it out. But the Dandelion drops wall hanging. I showed it last time. It's a big one made in that mustard. That was some pretty good pointing. I'm not usually good at that. Mustard yellow yarn back there. It is a worsted weight. I just did a tester call for it, so it is in testing by the time you're seeing this video. But that'll be coming out in March, towards the end of March, I believe. But I made a mini version because it's not a pattern that gauge really matters. Usually I'm a stickler for gauge with testers and stuff with garments, because obviously I want to know that it fits, but a wall hanging, as long as you can hang it on your wall, it's a wall hanging, right? So the pattern is written for worsted weight, and there is a gauge no, there's not a gauge. I don't really lie. I gauged, but the pattern is one of those. Gauge is not important for this pattern. You kind of just make a fabric that you like and then you sew it on a stick and hang it on your wall. It's pretty easy. But because of that simplicity, you're able to play around with hook size, and this is it's technically that Hobby Lobby Soft and Sleek DK that pretends it's DK, but really it's like sport and more likely fingering. So this was left over from a sweater that I had made a while back. It's an acrylic. So it's not the drapiest thing in the land, but I did the tassels with that yarn and then mixed in that yarn that I had gotten in a swat that I have no idea what it was, but I absolutely loved it. And I literally used up every last inch to make this fringe. So now it's been in like 3 pairs of socks and a wall hanging. So it has served well. But I think this is really cute. I think the birch stick really, my husband's sneezing. I don't know if you can hear that, but I think the birch stick was a good call. I was looking for like a pine stick or something. My mom was like, ooh, I have birch sticks. I was like, no, I don't need to take your birch sticks. I'm glad she gave me her birch sticks because I think it's super cute. So I did the big wall hanging on a birch stick again. Jump back to last episode, I showed the whole thing, and then I made an itty bitty one. So it's one that you can just play around with yarn, weights, and sizes. Just using the stitch count and changing your hook size. You can put it on really whatever size that you want. And it's fun to mess around with the tassels too, or the fringe, and do either different yarns, or you could even throw in like ribbons or fabric. Pretty really fun. So that will be coming out in March. That is the Dandelion Drops wall hanging. And the only other thing, design-wise, I told you I'd have a swatch by next time. And I have a tiny swatch. I have not, I never know, knitting is casting on, like, starting a crochet. That doesn't sound as good. I casted on a knit design sounds way cooler than I started a crochet design. But you don't cast on. I don't know. What do you guys say for crochet? I'm a crocheter. I should know this, but what do you say when you started a project? But I made this here swatch. Yes, it's supposed to be a weird shape because it's different hook sizes. This is going to be for, I said last time it was going to be a triangle shawl, I think. Again, last episode. It's going to be with some rainbow minis because rainbow minis are my life apparently. Some rainbow minis from Lane and Lotus. And then this is a leftover from my pullover design using Treasure Goddess yarn in the colorway Ghost Ship. So this is going to be the main color, and then there's a saturated jewel tone rainbow in minis from Lane and Lotus and a chick that knits. And again, I showed that last episode, so I'm not going to go over it again, but as I get a little more design going, I will show that again. But I swatched in 3 different hook sizes, and I have yet to, I think this middle one is what I'm going to go with. I think this is too open. This is a stitch. I don't know if it has a name. It's almost like a variation on like a linen stitch, but I haven't been able to like find what it's called, but I used it in my Dandelion Dance Shawl as well. It's the green section in my Dandelion Dance Shawl, and I think it just is such a pretty texture. It's really cool. I do like it at a tighter gauge, but I don't know if it's going to drape as well for what I want, so I think I'm going to go with this middle one. Pro tip. You can see that I have stitch markers on here, a pink one, a purple one, and a bluish one. If you are someone that uses, oh, I can't reach them, but the Clover or More crochet hooks are my favorite, and I'm going to be having a video coming out soon with my favorite crochet and knit tools, and I will talk about those extensively. But the Clover or Mores are my favorite, and each of the hook handles is a different size. And it's obviously different. Each of the hooks is a different size. Each of the handles for the different sizes is like color coded. So throughout all of them, like an F hook is always pink, I think. And like the H is blue and whatever. So you can purchase some people make specific stitch markers, but I have these light bulb stitch markers that I will try to remember to link in the show notes as well. I think it was like $10 for 1,000 of them, and they are my favorite, and they are cheap, and I love them because they're great for crocheting and knitting, and they're really easy to take on and off. But I used a stitch marker to mark each section of the swatch that I did that corresponded with the hook color. So I know that this was F, this was G, and this was H based on the fact it's pink, purple, and blue. So it's not like an exact color match, but I know that you know, like the purple for the actual hook is a much lighter purple, but it's the only purple one that I had. So I thought that was a nifty little trick. I know a lot of times with knit swatches, people will do like a number of purl bumps based on the needle size that they were using in a swatch if you're using multiples. And obviously I take notes too when I'm designing, but it's nice to be able to go back and look and just be like, oh, yep, okay, so that was that hook size, and that was, so I thought that was a nifty tip that I'd share with you. This is going to be some sort of neckwear. I haven't decided. You'll see when I make it. It's going to be something that goes around your neck with some rainbow minis in gray, because such is my life. But that is what I have going on right now for designs. I do want to start another garment design, but probably towards the end of spring. I have some different sweater options that I want to explore. But yes, that was the design section. So for my finished objects, this is a little bit out of my ordinary, but I have a friend who I've talked about on here before, the proceeds from the Dandelion Dreams baby blanket back in the beginning of 2019. We're all going to her daughter and some medical costs. But her daughter is just turned 1, I believe, and they were looking for a hat for her. I've made hats for both her and her husband before, and a longtime friend, so it was really nice that she thought of me for this. But her daughter has a trach, so she was having a hard time finding a hat that covered her ears but didn't have some kind of tie that they didn't want getting caught up in the trach. So she asked if I could make a hat with ear flaps but without any tassels or ties or any like pom-poms or anything that would be interfering with that. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I don't do a lot of custom orders at this point because I've been focused on the designing, but for a friend, absolutely. So I made for her daughter, there's no pattern for this, but she just wanted a plain like pearl colored hat, I guess, to go with her coat or snow pants. So it is, I don't know what I did exactly. I don't remember the stitch count that I used. Beanies at this point I don't really have to think about, but top down beanie. And then I added in this little braided, I think it's called a braided puff stitch, that I learned how to do from my, what was it called? Winter braid stocking, I think it was, that I worked on Christmas time by, I'm going to have to put it in the show notes because I totally forgot what it was called, but it's, I made a stocking pattern that had this going back and forth throughout the stocking. So it's like a puff stitch, but it's slanted and looks like a braid, hence braided puff stitch. So I thought that was a really cute detail because just a plain white hat seemed a little boring. And then it's got little ear flaps to keep her head nice and cozy and warm. And we had talked about maybe doing another hat with a pom-pom. She wanted this one so that she could get her coat hood over it. But what I think I might do is throw in a detachable pom-pom just so she has that option if she wants to throw that on. And this is nothing fancy. She wanted it to be durable, washable for a babe. So it is Karen Simply Soft, which is an acrylic, readily available at all your major box craft stores. Especially because it's white, it's definitely going to be something that, my sentences are great. Something you can throw in the wash. So yeah, this was just the color white and good old Karen Simply Soft. And then to go with it, she actually asked if I could make a pair of mittens as well. And I have not done a lot of crochet mittens because that's one of those things kind of up there with socks that I feel like knit mittens. Knitting might be the better option. I don't ever like to say that one craft is better than the other at things, but I feel like for socks and mittens, I would prefer to knit them. And for like blankets, I would prefer to crochet them. There's just things that it just seems to work out in one craft better than the other, but you can definitely do either. But she asked me to make some mittens, and I did crochet them, and they came out super cute. And this is a pattern she has a YouTube tutorial for it as well as a blog post, and it's like a start to finish YouTube tutorial, which is nice, in toddler, child, and adult sizes by, I think she's Little John's Yarn. She has a really great YouTube channel. This is a sidetrack, but she has a really great YouTube channel if you're looking for yarn reviews or product reviews, or she does like, I'm going to buy the cheap hooks from Dollar Tree and see how they hold up, or like random stuff off of like Wish for crocheting. And she has a really cute crochet like t-shirt shop geared at crocheting, which is fun because there's a lot of stuff geared at knitting. But it popped up in my feed that she had a mitten pattern, and I don't think I had realized she was a pattern writer as well, or a designer. I don't know, I tended to think of her more of a like product reviewer, but she writes patterns. So I was able to follow that. I made the toddler size, but my gauge was smaller, and I used a hook that was slightly smaller just to make it a little bit tighter and denser. Obviously, these are not going to be like waterproof go skiing mittens, but to keep little baby hands warm, they will do the trick. And I'm really proud that they are actually the same size, because I tend to have a hard time making things be the same size. And if it's like for me and my socks aren't exactly the same, I'm like, it's all right, whatever. But for someone who has asked you to make something and paying you for it, you should make them uniform. So these are a slightly modified version of the toddler size, which was a 4 to 6, which I don't feel like is a toddler. But maybe you're I feel like once you go to preschool, you're not a toddler anymore. Is that the right definition? In my mind, toddler is like 2 to 4. Right? I don't think 6 is toddler. Either way, she has a small size. And if you were looking for a great knit mitten pattern, Tin Can Knits, I believe it's the World's Simplest Mittens, or the World's Simplest Mittens, has a like every yarn weight, every size known to humans mitten pattern. It's great. But either way, I don't really like making mittens, and I considered knitting the mittens for her, even though she asked me to crochet them. But I also don't like doing the thumb, either magic loop or on DPNs. I just really don't like making mittens, but for friends, I will do it. So we have a little hat and mitten pair set, and they are hopefully big enough with a little extra room that she'll be able to wear them, because winter's wrapping up here, but they live in like upstate New York, so it's chilly. So winter's wrapping up, and hopefully she'll be able to wear them into spring and maybe come next fall. We'll see. Maybe she'll have a growth spurt. But that, I think, is the only thing finished object-wise that I have to share with you this week. This is shaping up to be another short episode. Last time I was like 36 minutes or something crazy. This might be a little longer. We'll see. But my bonfire socks are my current knit whip. I'm in a weird state with as I had talked about how I was going to use a 50-gram skein and make them a little bit shorter, but it's a little bit of a denser yarn, so I went up on a needle size. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get away with the 50 grams. So I did find a second skein of theoretically the same color, but it is, I don't know where my original ball band is, but it's definitely a different dye lot. And like, it seems like it might be similar because it's what is this, variegated, tonal, stripy? I don't even know what to call this, but it looks like it's marled. It's one yarn. I'll show you in the socks, you'll see. But yeah, I think this one might be different, but I think it's going to be okay. Maybe, hopefully. Again, they're socks. The world will go on. Oh yeah. So I'm using that. That is Patton's Croy FX in Clover Colors. And then Patton's Croy, just regular Patton's Croy, in Flax, which I had previously called linen, but I believe it is flax. Right? Nope, that's the wrong ball band. Okay. So the first sock, I got down to like half of the foot and then panicked that I was going to run out of yarn. So I was like, okay, if I do like half the foot, I can do like giant gray toes if I have to. Because it seemed like this color had maybe been discontinued. I couldn't find it online, and I happened to be in Joann the other day and found one single skein, and I was like, well, I'm taking you. So I'm not sure if that particular one is still available or not, but if I didn't already say, these are the bonfire socks. They are a free pattern by Potter in Bloom on her website fairly recently. And yeah, so I got to about half of what I would do for the foot and panicked. So I put them on stitch holders. And then I started the second one, which absolutely does not line up in the same color sequence, but I am okay with that. Because again, I thought I was going to be using one skein, so there was no way I'd be able to line up the colors anyway, because I don't think there's a really distinct pattern repeat in here. It seems like this is this part, maybe not. I don't even know. Well, this is obviously this part, because that's where I started it, but I don't know if there's a repeat. But it's a really pretty, like, rainbow, it looks marled. I think it's really cool. I don't love it in, like, just the stockinette side. It's a little, like, pixelated for me there. But I think with this like broken ribbing pattern that is in the bonfire sock, it's got just enough texture and like a knit purl row that pops out those color flecks really, really nicely. So I'm going to hopefully get down with the single 50 gram skein, and then I'll either destash or make another pair. I really like Patton's Croy as far as a box store sock yarn goes. It's a little more towards sport weight, but it's pretty woolly and cozy, and they hold up well. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Will I get one sock or two socks out of one skein, or will I have to break into that other one, and will the toes be some strange color variation that no longer lines up with whatever color sequence is there? I just don't know. We'll see. But I really like the pattern, and I think it's going to fit really well. I love me a textured ribbed sock. It's going to be good. I was aiming to do a pair of socks a month, and then it's already February, and I'm still on my January socks, so we're not off to a great start, but that's okay. Vanilla socks go so much faster, but I don't like the way they fit. I don't know if it's just my feet, and I think particularly superwash yarns make this an issue because they like stretch, grow, but I have really wide toes, and I don't know if I have wide ankles, but I have a wide instep, so like the cuff has to be very wide to get over my arch. But then I also have really skinny heels. So like making a sock that's like, it looks kind of like the swatch, where my toes are out here, but my heels are in here. I have duck feet. Yeah, they always tend to get saggy in like someplace. My husband was tasked with keeping that cat. You had one job, Totsky. I was gonna shut her up, but I was like, no, just hold her, pet her, love her, she'll be fine. She insists on being in here every time. But if I come let her in here, she's all up in the shelf and flashing her bum holes to everyone, so. Cat podcast, guys, I'm sorry. But, yeah, that was my whip section and my rant about socks. I think I was talking about how long they take me to make and my weird duck feet, but yeah. If I'm designing and doing other stuff, I don't seem to be able to get a pair done monthly, but that's okay. How many socks do people really need? This whole like box of socks thing, if you're making 12 pairs of socks a year, every year, how many pairs of socks do you really need? Answer below. Completely forgot in the finished object section. I have another finished object for another friend. This is a surprise. This one wasn't a custom order. This is a surprise, and I don't normally knit for friends. I usually reserve my knitting rights for myself and my daughter, and if I can convince my husband of something. But we have another friend who is in the process of adopting a little boy, or a baby boy. So I wanted to make him a cardigan. And I don't get to knit little boy things or make little boy things very often, so I jumped at the opportunity to make a cute little boy cardigan. I know everybody gets excited about the little girl makes, and they are cute and adorable and wonderful in all of their ways, but I don't know, this is a really sweet pattern that is definitely gender neutral, but is a great make for a little boy. It's like a little grandpa cardigan, and I almost want to like put elbow patches on it, but that's extra. How cute is that? Absolutely love. So this is the Caress cardigan for kids by Sandra of, gonna do my very best to say it, but it is in Portuguese. She has sent me a sound clip before and I have listened to it on repeat, and I do my very, very best, but she will be linked in the show notes as well. But Sandra of Agasalhos e Bugalhos makes the most amazing baby and like toddler sized, I think some up to even kids actually, patterns. And I have made a whole bunch for my daughter and have a whole queue of more that I want to make. And obviously she's outgrown some of the baby sizes, but she has some larger and some toys. And if ever I have more children, I will be turning to her patterns again. Highly recommend. So I don't know if she has this because this one's called Caress Kids. I don't know if she has like a larger one. maybe there's an adult size. I don't even know, but I love this. It reminds me of, I think it's the Gramps cardigan by Tin Can Knits, but similar like Grandpa style. I think the Gramps has pockets, maybe. This is the first time I've done a shawl collar with short rows, and I'm actually impressed I didn't mess it up. I'm usually not great with short rows, but I had all my little stitch markers in the right place, and I was doing my little wrap and turns, and they're not terrible. Like, sometimes I have iffy wrap and turn issues. Like that right there is a little iffy. But I think it came out just lovely. And I had the yarn labels over there, and then I moved them thinking I didn't need them. But I use Lion Brand jeans in the colorway Top Stitch. So this is an acrylic, and again, because it's for a toddler, baby, and for someone who's not a fiberist, I wanted it to be machine washable and toddler proof. So this is an acrylic. Lion Brand jeans is probably one of my favorites as far as acrylic yarns go. I've done my Herrington Marliday in this exact same color. I had made a top that was in this yarn as well, but I frogged it because it was a worsted weight summer top and I wasn't loving that. And also my Stegander vest is in Lion Brand jeans. But I think this Top Stitch colorway is just kind of my favorite brown. I don't really do brown, but this is like it reminds me of like a deer, like a fawn. It's kind of beautiful. And yeah, as far as acrylic, it holds up really nicely and I like the feel of it. It washes well. So I thought that was a good option for a little man cardigan. And then I was originally going to just use Swish worsted left over from my daughter's Rainbow Arms pullover sweater. But I wasn't loving the way that was behaving for the shawl collar. My gauge, I think, was actually pretty spot on. It's a worsted weight pattern, but because jeans is a little bit of a lighter yarn, when I was doing the shawl collar in the more true worsted, Swish worsted, which is a Knit Picks yarn, and the colorway is just whatever the plain gray one is. I don't remember. I wasn't loving how gappy the collar was looking, so I threw in a strand of the same Soft and Sleek DK left over from, I don't remember what, another sweater made by Haley Bailey, Dove Dress. A strand of acrylic in the darker gray and rolled them together, and I think it absolutely makes the sweater. Like, how cute is it, guys? And then I got some buttons at Joann. They are some fake wood plasticky. Again, durable for a babe. So I'm excited to gift this to her. And she has a daughter who is my daughter's age, and I considered doing a matching one for her. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not yet. I kind of have a lot of design and businessy stuff going on, so I don't have a ton of time for personal makey projects, but I might make one for her as well because I think that'd be super cute to have matching. And also, if I ever have more children, they will have matching sweaters. So brace yourself, children, it's happening. So I'm sorry I put this in the wrong section, but this is a finished object and I love it. I kind of want one for myself. Again, not usually a shawl collar kind of person, but I think this is so perfect and it needs elbow patches. But I don't really know how to go about that, so probably not. But if I make a larger size, elbow patches. That brings us to the final section, the acquirings section. I don't really want to talk about it, but at the time that you are seeing this video, somewhere in the recent past, I turned a substantial age of monumental consequence. Not really. I turned 30. So I have some birthday goodies to share. I am not big on birthdays, and it's been a quiet year already because of pandemics and all of that. And I'm not usually one to do parties, or like usually my husband and I like go out to eat or something. Or last year actually we were at the Boston Farm and Fiber Festival in Boston, and I just look back on that and I'm like, wow, there were so many of us in that tiny building, all shopping yarn, like completely just rubbing all of our germs on all over the place in February before the world went crazy. So yeah, that's the last big like birthday hurrah that has occurred. But yeah, it was just a snowy stay home cozy family day. if ever you plan to have your children and you're like plotting out when would be a good time to birth a child, I don't recommend February if you live in New England, because my birthday gets canceled like a lot. Like once every 3 years maybe it doesn't snow. And I really don't like snow. And I'm one of those strict, I do not drive in the snow people. I do not drive in the snow kind of people. I had a bad accident a couple years ago and I'm like, nope, not worth it. Unless I need to like take somebody to the hospital, we stay home. All of that to say, I have some birthday yarn to show you. And I actually bought it for myself, and then my husband took it away and wrapped it. And I was like, hey, I want that. And him and my daughter wrapped it and told me it was a surprise. So, this I bought a couple shop updates ago, but it took a little bit to ship, and just the timing of the podcast, I haven't shown it to you. But it's actually this color here on a different base, and obviously a different dye lot, because it's like a year apart. So you can see the difference, I think. This one's a little caramelier, and this one's a little more maybe like green tones. But this is Fiber for the People, in the colorway Leather. And the original one that I had was her 75-25 merino nylon. And I haven't used it yet because it's supposed to be going into the cuffs of a sweater design that is over there that I need to design. So this will probably be the next sweater situation that you see. But, I set up a new thing here. So I got another stand as well in the birthday gettings. And I thought I could put minis on it, but now my situation is all not ideal. Okay. Eventually there's going to be a major shelf reorganization. But this one is on the Superwash New Zealand Polworth, I think. Which isn't a base that I've ever used before. And yeah, I'm interested to see. It was one of her, when she does shop updates, she has like colors that she's announced, like I'm doing these 2 colors, the shop update, but then she'll also do a couple like leftover skeins if she dyes a sweater quantity. And there's like, when you dye in a certain amount of skeins. So if somebody ordered 5 skeins, but she dyed 7 or something, I don't know how this works, I'm not a dyer. She'll throw the extras up. So, this was just an extra that I grabbed because I really like this color, although I kind of like that iteration of this color better. This one's a little more swampy, but I still love it because this is my palette. So I'm not sure, this might be socks or this might, I was hoping it matched that closely enough that I could use it in the same design. I don't know, I might. I'm gonna set it aside. And then I got the yarn of my dreams. And I should have gotten more of the yarn of my dreams. But this is also by Fiber. Oh my goodness, I love it. This is also by Fiber for the People. This is the colorway Seagull. And I have been eyeing this. And when you shop Taylor's updates, it is a stressful situation because I can't even get the ball band off and I don't want to mess it up. But her yarn goes super fast. And if she's announced the colorway, it goes super, super fast because everybody wants it and there's only so much of it. And she announced that she was doing a Seagull update. And I was like, I want to get a sweater quantity of Seagull, but I want to make sure that I actually like it in reality. And not just in like, because, you know, pictures don't always translate as well. I feel like Taylor does really good representations and she always posts other people's pictures of her yarn too, and you get a pretty good idea. But, yeah, I wanted to try it out in a couple skeins first before I ordered a whole sweater worth, a suit worth, which again might be a design, but in like the fall. So I grabbed some Seagull on her 85-15, which is a base that I really like, 2-ply. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh, that's showing up so beautifully. Oof, I love it. So it's like a blue-gray, which normally I'm more of like, I guess a warm gray as opposed to a cool gray. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm more of a blue-gray. I don't know. I'm very picky about gray. I don't like a green gray. But a blue-gray is acceptable. So this is definitely some like blue tones with the gray, and then yeah, I just love this. It's got mustard, it's got burnt orange, it's got the Taylor Earl black speckle, it's got black. She would so much more eloquently describe this. And it's got almost some colors similar to like that leather. These would play well together, but they're 2 totally different bases. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm planning on getting a sweater quantity. I don't know if I'm going to get it in this space. I don't really have a plan yet. I have commitment issues. I got 2 of these, which I could totally do a shawl or something in. And I know if I get a sweater quantity at this point, it's not going to be the exact same dye lot, and I need to alternate skeins, but I kind of expect to do that either way because it's indie dyed yarn. So I might get like another 4 or 5 of these at some point. I have a gift card. You can't use gift cards on sweater quantities, I have learned, and I am kind of bothered by that, just the way she does it. I guess she sends invoices and you can only use the gift cards like in her actual shop, and I don't know. Run your business the way you want to, but I was like, I asked for a gift card because I want to get a sweater quantity, and now I have this gift card, but hey, I'll just buy more yarn another time. That's not really a problem. But yeah, I love this seagull. Please love it as much as I do, but don't go buy it out of all the shop updates because I want to own it all. It's great. So beautiful. But yeah, that's what I have acquired mostly. Oh, I guess I could show you her business card. Her business cards are super cute. Are we focusing? Kind of. However, for the people. She has a podcast. She's got an Instagram. She's all things wonderful in the yarn realm. And then she always includes tea with her packages as well. I got 2 really fun brands that I've never heard of, actually, of organic tea. Really, I'm going to go drink this one as soon as I'm done. I just wanted to show it to you. And I don't know if I've ever had an apricot tea, so fun. Worth it for the tea. Buy the expensive yarn to get the fun tea. That's reasonable, right? And then finally, I got an appropriate yarn scale. And by yarn scale, I mean this is a kitchen scale. But the one that I had been using, I have been talking about for probably like a year, saying I need to get something else. I was using, my husband used to do a lot on eBay. We worked at an auction house together, and my husband would buy and sell on eBay from there. So I was using a postal scale, which in theory I think is totally fine, but the one that we have, for whatever reason, refused to go below 5 grams. So if I was doing, like when I was doing the Hope in a Future wrap and I had like little bits left and they were like very clearly different size little bits, they were all like, it's 5 grams. And when I'm trying to calculate yardage for a pattern, I need to be fairly precise. Obviously nothing's perfect and all yarns are, you know, there's going to be some wiggle room anytime that a yardage is listed in a pattern, but I try to be as exact as possible. And if it's something like a sweater, I want to do my best estimate. Or if you're testing for somebody else too, it's really helpful to be able to give that information. So when it was not like, I feel it was consistent, but it just refused to be smaller increments than 5 grams, which doesn't make sense because if you were weighing, I don't know. I don't know what the specs on it were to begin with. It was just something my husband had. I'm not sure where it came from or if it's known to be reliable or not, but we've had it for years. So I'm still probably going to use that to weigh, like to put like a whole sweater on, because it's fairly big for like weighing packages. So it's, I don't know, like 7 by 5 or something. So it's got a nice big surface area that I can throw a bowl on and tear it out and do a whole sweater weight. But I wanted to get something that would be a little bit better for doing small increments. He also, after I ordered this, was like, I have a jewelry scale that is made for smaller increments, and I think that those generally are, you know, obviously for jewelry. So I think it only goes up to 100 grams, 200 grams. So I couldn't weigh a whole sweater on it. But I feel like maybe between the postal scale and that, I could work it out. I'm going to give this a try, and if I don't like it immediately, I will return it. But I think it's going to be better for what I need. It is highly recommended by a lot of yarn blogs. I think I bought it through like an affiliate link on Moogly, but, or someone that Moogly had linked to from another yarn blog, but it's one that, is often comes up. I looked at this one, and then I never know if it's OXO or OXO, but I looked at that one a lot. This is a kitchen, it just says digital scale, but it's sold as a kitchen scale. It has a capacity of 11 pounds or 5,000 grams, so I can weigh many a sweater on it. And it is in increments of 1 gram or 5 minutes. You see that in the bottom there? And this is off of Amazon. I'll drop a link in the show notes if you would like to grab one as well. But this one was like $24. They range in from like 20 to like 35 depending on what color you get, but I just got boring gray. And I'll have to let you know how I feel about it. The ratings were good. It seems to be fairly accurate. I was looking at a bunch of coffee scales as well, because people had said coffee or jewelry scales would be more accurate with the small increments, but again, those only go up to like lightweight things because nobody's weighing several pounds of coffee on a coffee scale. It's usually like, well, maybe several pounds, but it's usually for like making an espresso. So not a ton of coffee. So again, the whole sweater would be an issue, and they're kind of on the small size. So I looked at some of those, and there were some that said that they did 0.5 grams, which would be really great for estimating yardages, but the reviews were like, it doesn't start until it hits like 3 grams or something. So I couldn't find one that was super accurate in the coffee scale realm. And jewelry scales all seemed too small. So I went with the kitchen scale. Seems better than the postal scale. I'll let you know. Again, I'm going to be doing a my favorite tools video coming up pretty soon. So we'll give you an update on that. And that concludes everything that I wanted to talk about today. So thank you for joining me for episode 27. Everything that I have mentioned is linked over in the show notes. And like I said, jump over to Instagram if you want to be in the know about pattern releases and all of that good stuff coming up soon. Thank you for joining me. I always appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. It makes me so happy that I have this little yarn community and that anybody cares about what I'm making or designing. And I just really appreciate your support. So thank you for being here and being on this journey of Maker Mama Boss Ladying with me. I have exciting news coming soon, so stick around. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you in episode 28.